The biggest interdisciplinary team I ran as a project manager was when I was working on a theme park in Dubai, the Universal theme park in Dubai. And I ran the landscape team, and it was actually 5 separate teams. So there was an urban design, urban planning group. There was a landscape architecture group. There was an engineering group. There was a quantity surveying group. There was a theme park design group, and there was another group somewhere in the back. There was something like 6 or 7 different interdisciplinary teams, disciplinary teams. And my job was really just to coordinate those and make sure that they worked together. So I wasn't the designer, I was the project coordinator. And that was a huge, the total number of people in my team was about 80, and they were in 4 different continents. So my theme park team were in the East Coast of America. My design team was in Hong Kong. My urban design team was in Dubai. You know, it's all over the place. And it was huge. It took a lot of coordination. And the particular challenge there was the time zones. So everybody in different time zones. How do I get them to talk to each other? How do I get to make sure that the theme park designers are producing enough image that the landscape architects could work on, that the urban designers were plugging in all the design and planning data, you know, the engineers were supporting. And essentially it's a bit like the stage show where the magician is spinning plates on top of poles. You've got to spin the plates, and it's just about keeping them all going. It's about keeping everything, juggling everything, making sure you don't drop anything. But to make an interdisciplinary team work, you really need to be able to speak each of the disciplinary languages. You need to be able to speak urban planning. You need to be able to speak thematic design, landscape design, engineering, quantity surveying. You need a lot of experience in your history to be able to do that. The other big interdisciplinary team I worked in was the one at Penny's Bay at Hong Kong Disney, which was a bigger team, but I wasn't leading that team. I was one of the senior resident staff, but there was a chief above me. So there was a team of 250, and that was predominantly engineers, landscape architects, construction specialists, quantity surveyors, and 1 or 2 architects in the background. A different mix and a different focus, but happily I wasn't in charge of that. And the good thing about that is that we were all in the same building. We had 1 building for 250 people. And so we were doing a lot of meetings. All of these interdisciplinary teams, you need a lot of meetings, a lot of regular meetings. And your ability to run efficient meetings and to prioritize and to focus and to get everybody to focus together is a real skill. And what I learned from Disney was quite interesting. I went there to learn from the Walt Disney International about quality, and I learned a lot about the quality from them. But I learned more about project management from the main contractor, China State, and the way that they deal with issues, the way that they resolve issues. And the most memorable experience was one of the very first project meetings I sat in, and we've got all the site staff, we've got all the contractor comes in with all his senior members of staff. And the site staff want to have this great long list of things that we need to discuss, several pages of it. And the contractor just takes this list and puts it down and says, these are the 5 things that we're going to talk to you about. And so we talked about the 5 things, and then they said, that's it, we'll come back tomorrow. And so they just focus on the top 5, and this was their strategy. What are the 5 most urgent things we need to talk about? We don't talk about all the minor details. That will come out in the wash. We just want the big things, because time was so important, because we needed to get on with things. And this ability to manage in complex situations and to really identify what is important and what is not important, that's a really, really important skill. But as I say, the key is to be able to speak other disciplinary languages and to know what everybody is trying to do. Because sometimes, you know, the engineer wants to do this and the landscape architect wants to do that. You need to understand both situations to be able to say, okay, we're going to go this way. We understand that there are different opinions, but I need to make a decision to go forwards. So yes, interdisciplinary teams, you learn a lot. And you learn a lot about other professionals and how they have exactly the same passions and intentions as you. They're just focusing on different things. So if you can learn to work with a team of engineers, you know, it's a very valuable asset.